Welcome to Wisdom of the Bible. Connect with God through our Bible stories. What if God whispered a promise in your ear that wouldn't come true until everyone around you had passed away? Two men heard the voice of destiny while standing in a land of giants, and an entire nation wanted to end their lives for believing it. This is the prophecy of Joshua and Caleb, written in sweat, tested in the wilderness, and fulfilled in a conquest that shook the earth. 12 spies went in, 10 said it was impossible, but 2 said it was inevitable. The choice made that day didn't just seal a generation's fate. It revealed who would inherit a legacy and who would become dust in the desert. Stay with me, because at minute 18, you'll see faith defy old age. The journey from Egypt had been miraculous. The Israelites had witnessed the Red Sea part and manna fall from heaven, yet they stood at the edge of doubt. They were at Kadesh Barnea, the very doorway to the land God promised their ancestor Abraham centuries before. The prize was right in front of them. God spoke to Moses with clear instructions: send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. This wasn't a mission to decide if they should enter, but to see what they were walking into. Moses chose 12 leaders, one from each tribe. Among them were Hoshea, whom Moses renamed Joshua, meaning the Lord saves, and Caleb from the tribe of Judah. 2 names that would soon become legendary. For 40 days, these men walked through valleys and climbed hills, observing fortified cities and warriors that made them feel small. They reached the valley of Eshcol and found fruit so massive that a single cluster of grapes required 2 men to carry it on a pole. It was exactly as God promised, a land flowing with milk and honey. But alongside the fruit, they saw something that made their blood run cold. They saw the descendants of Anakim, men of enormous size with a fearsome reputation. Every observation was stored away, ready for a report that would divide a nation. If you've ever felt small in the face of a giant challenge, subscribe now. This story proves that with God, perspective changes everything. The spies returned to camp. First, they showed the fruit, and the people cheered. But then came the word that destroys dreams: but the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large, the 10 spies reported, their voices trembling with fear. Panic spread like a plague. The 10 spies painted a picture of certain defeat, claiming the land devoured its inhabitants and the people were giants. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them, they cried. They saw themselves as insects, not children of God. But Caleb stepped forward, silencing the crowd. His voice cut through the weeping with absolute certainty: we should go up and take possession of the land. For we can certainly do it. 5 words that separated faith from fear. Caleb didn't deny the giants, he simply knew his God was bigger. The 10 spies countered immediately, spreading terror. The camp dissolved into chaos. That night, the entire nation wept, wishing they had died back in Egypt. They actually plotted to choose a new leader and march back to slavery. They were ready to trade their destiny for the comfort of their chains. Moses and Aaron fell face down. But Joshua and Caleb tore their clothes in anguish, pleading with the people not to rebel against the Lord. The land is exceedingly good, they shouted. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. The response was chilling. The crowd didn't listen. Instead, they picked up stones, ready to execute Joshua and Caleb for the crime of having faith. But just as the first stone was about to fly, the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting, stopping the mob in its tracks. God's anger was terrifying. He asked Moses, "How long will these people treat me with contempt?" He was ready to start over with Moses alone. Moses interceded, pleading for mercy. God forgave, but he issued a decree that would shape history: forgiveness does not remove consequences. Not one of them will ever see the land I promised, God declared. Every person over 20 who grumbled would wander until they perished in the wilderness. Only 2 men were exempt. Because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land, God promised. The 10 spies who spread the bad report were struck down by a plague immediately. The judgment was swift, final, and absolutely devastating. For 40 years, 1 year for every day they spied out the land, Israel would wander. They would dig graves in the sand until the faithless generation was gone. Imagine the weight of that sentence. Joshua and Caleb had to walk alongside the very people who wanted to kill them, watching them slowly fade away. This brings us to a crucial lesson about patience. Sometimes, your promise is delayed not because of your sin, but because of those around you. Before we continue to the conquest, if this story is speaking to you, please subscribe. It helps us share these powerful biblical truths with the world. During those wandering years, Joshua was being shaped. He stayed close to Moses, lingering in the tent of meeting, hungry for God's presence. Caleb, meanwhile, went quiet. He returned to the ranks, and during the long march, holding onto a secret promise that kept him strong while others grew weak. Finally, the 40 years ended. Moses, the great leader, passed away on Mount Nebo after seeing the land he could not enter. The mantle fell to Joshua. God spoke to him, "Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan. Be strong and courageous," God commanded. "As I was with Moses, so I will be with you." The time for waiting was over. Joshua led them to the Jordan River, which was at flood stage. But as the priest's feet touched the water, the river stopped flowing, piling up miles away. They crossed on dry ground, a miracle echoing the Red Sea, proving to a new generation that the God of their fathers was still with them. Their first target was Jericho, a fortress with walls that reached the sky. But God's battle plan defied all military logic. March around the city silently for 6 days. On the 7th day, march 7 times and shout. It sounded absurd, but Joshua obeyed without question. On the 7th day, at the blast of the trumpets, the people shouted. The ground shook, and the massive walls of Jericho collapsed instantly. They took the city, not by might, but by obedience. But the war for Canaan was far from over. Kings formed alliances to crush this invading nation. During a massive battle against 5 Amorite kings, Joshua needed more time to finish the victory. He did something that has baffled scientists and scholars. He looked up at the sky and commanded, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon." And the sun stopped in the middle of the sky. God delayed the sunset, fighting for Israel with hailstones and miraculously extending the day. Battle after battle, the Lord gave them victory. The northern kings with their iron chariots fell before Joshua's army. The land was finally theirs. But here's where the story takes its most personal turn. The land was being divided, and an 85-year-old man stepped forward. Caleb approached Joshua at Gilgal. He wasn't looking for a retirement home in the quiet valley. He was looking for a fight. "I was 40 years old when Moses sent me," Caleb declared. "And here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was then." He didn't ask for the easy path. He said, "Give me this hill country. The Anakites are there, but the Lord helping me, I will drive them out." Caleb asked for the very mountain where the giants lived, the same giants that had terrified the 10 spies 45 years earlier. Joshua blessed his old friend. And Caleb, at 85, picked up his sword and drove out the 3 sons of Anak, claiming his inheritance. Hebron became his, a testimony that faith does not expire with age. The man who followed God wholeheartedly received exactly what he was promised. This moment proves that God's delays are not God's denials. Caleb's strength was preserved because his faith was anchored in the eternal. Joshua finished the work, dividing the land among the tribes. He gathered the people one last time to give them a final charge. "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve," Joshua challenged them. "But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." The people pledged their loyalty, and Joshua set up a stone as a witness to their covenant. His work was complete. Joshua died at 110, buried in the land he had conquered. Israel served the Lord throughout the lifetime of the elders who outlived him. 2 men stood against the tide of fear. 2 men believed when the world said it was impossible. And 2 men lived to see the promise fulfilled. Their story asks you a question today. When you face your giants, will you see yourself as a grasshopper, or will you see your God? If you want to cultivate a spirit like Caleb's, hit the like button. Subscribe for more stories that bring the Bible to life. Share this with someone who is in a waiting season. Remind them that their Hebron is waiting, and their giants are ready to fall.